up, guys?
Welcome back to the new season
of Whiskey and Water. I'm your co-host, Olivia.
And I am your co-host, Jess.
And we are back at it again.
We are so excited. This is New Beginnings 2021.
New year, baby.
Is our year.
Hell yeah, brother.
We said that last year. But you know.
This year, we mean it,
this
guys.
This year is the year.
2021 is our year, and it's your year, too, and we're going to help you get there.
Ooh.
You like that?
Like that. Spicy.
A little motivational guru over here.
Mm-hmm. I love that for you.
Guys, welcome to our new season.
New year, new us. New season, new us.
New season, new brand, new episode topic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean show topic.
Yeah.
New show topic, and we are so pumped and excited to get into it.
Yes, and if you haven't listened to the last season's last episode, make sure you guys check out just the episode before this so that you guys are up to speed on
the same page
on what we're doing moving forward.
Yeah, so basically we're pivoting into this new entrepreneurial business, female-led female business type of space.
Yes.
And that's what we feel is resonating with us and important to us right now, and where we find our passion.
And what we feel like we can
offer.
Talk about and offer. And it's just, you know, it's a new season of our lives and a new year. And we just feel like this is the most on brand with us right now. And like we said, like last week, you know, when we first started this podcast, Olivia would come into my room and wake me up, and I'd be super hungover from the night before. And it is just crazy to see how this show has kind of just taken a complete 180. And now we're like, yeah, business.
Yeah.
What's up? Starts one business. Launches a podcast about it.
Opens up a business account the week before.
Yeah.
You know,
we're in it.
We're business owners. It's fine. Everything's fine. But no, guys, in all seriousness, we are so excited to take you on this journey with us. We're actually so like re-inspired by the show and the guests that we're going to have on and the value that we're going to provide to you guys. We're pumped.
Super pumped.
All
right. So before we get into it, we would love to thank our show sponsor, Celsius. They have stuck with us throughout it all. 2021, still drinking Celsius.
New year, same sponsor.
Hell yeah, brother. Cheers.
Cheers. We're drinking sparkling Fuji apple pear today.
We love it because it's healthy energy. It accelerates metabolism, burns body fat, zero sugar. I've been putting my family onto this recently. My boyfriend's onto it. My roommate's onto it. Everyone's onto it.
My sister's onto it. My sister's boyfriend is onto it. My fiance's onto it. My mom, yesterday, we were at a park for a late late Christmas gathering. And she was like, I want to try Celsius. And my mom and my sister and Julian were like, you got to try it. So I even have like my people putting on other people for it.
Jalissa texted me. Our friend Jalissa texted me the other day. And she was like, how did you not tell me? Like, how did you not communicate effectively how good this shit is? And I was like, you haven't been listening.
Yeah, clearly. Because
it's all I fucking talk about.
Yeah, literally.
And she was like, I'm addicted. I can't stop. So
yeah, no high fructose corn syrup, no aspartame, no preservatives, no artificial colors or flavors. You love to see it. Cheers.
Link in description.
Yes, link in description to shop. All right, guys. So if you are a new listener, we like to do some segments, you know, sprinkled throughout the episode. We've had a lot of different segments throughout the seasons
We
that
kind
were
of just
always
like to
fun.
go with whatever like we feel inspired by, because we like to switch them up, because sometimes
Gotta keep it fresh.
We gotta keep it fresh, and we don't want to have to feel like we're forcing anything.
Yeah.
Anything that feels inauthentic to us.
So one of our very first segments was something called Pro
Tip.
Oh, it feels so nostalgic bringing that back.
It really does.
I love it. Actually, we had a few requests to bring back Pro Tip. So, you know, we give the people what they want.
Your wish is our command.
Your wish is our command, and we're doing Pro Tip, but putting a twist on it and making it a business Pro Tip.
Business Pro Tip,
so we got
baby.
Biz Pro Tip. We'll figure out how we want to say that later.
Bro Tip.
Biz/pro.
Biz Tip.
Biz Tip. Oh,
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
Biz Tip.
Biz Tip.
She's got to do the effect.
Okay.
Anywho,
I digress.
This week's business pro tip is outsourcing your repetitive tasks to save time and money.
We felt like this was important because it's honestly something that's really relevant to our journey thus far as, you know, kind of on this, with this project, with the podcast. I don't even know. Would you consider the podcast a business? Kind of.
The podcast is a business,
it's
considering
a business expense.
It is an expense, and considering how many hours a week that we put into it.
You're not wrong. So yeah, even with the business of our podcast, of our show, we definitely kind of earlier on in the process realized that we don't want to be taking the time.
Yeah, that was like the first thing
to edit. Yeah, that was one of the first things. We're like, we don't want to be editing this.
Well, you did edit the audio for a while.
I did for a long time.
But yeah, we like immediately hired someone to handle like the editing and like the filming, because we were like, we don't want to detract from our energy and our creative juices,
our talent. But yeah, as soon as we could, we outsourced the kind of filming of it and the editing of it, which was the best decision ever, because we totally would have gotten burnt out. Like, there's no way.
Oh yeah, there's no way. There's no way.
And there's just too many platforms out there that you can take advantage of, and just resources that you can use where you can outsource those mundane or really time-consuming tasks.
Yeah, and then we quickly realized that we could apply this to other aspects of our lives, and which we have done. You know, we have our assistant Kennedy, who helps us with a lot of tasks. And shout out to Kennedy. And yeah, she helps us with a lot of our tasks. Like, she helps us like specifically with our brand outreach and like reaching out to brands and getting new sponsors and things like that. And that's just something that was so time consuming for us.
It's time consuming, and it's kind of tedious. You know, it's not stuff. We really have a pretty simple like system to it. It's just a matter of doing it that takes the time. So to have her in and have her be sending those emails and talking with brands for us on behalf of us, it really makes such a difference, because that frees up, hours of our day.
Remember when I used to sit at Panther Coffee for literally hours?
Yeah, like 6 hours.
I would just be doing brand outreach for hours.
And you're sending, it's almost a robotic task.
Oh, it is. I would just get in such a flow state, and I'd be sending out like hundreds of emails.
Kind of nice. Kind of just like mentally check out. But you can be using that time to be more productive and to be thinking about business ideas and how we can, you know, be more productive.
It's about like freeing up that mental space,
capacity.
Yeah. So
nonetheless,
our business pro tip is to outsource those repetitive tasks so that you can focus on the things that inspire you and are going to help move you forward.
Yes. And we plan on doing a lot more of that, you know? I mean, that's a constant reevaluation of like, what can we delegate out?
Yeah, no, that's like almost like weekly. We're like, what do we hate doing this week? And then we're like, I'm like, Kennedy.
And she loves doing it because she's also learning from us too in a lot of ways.
And we do help. I mean, it's not like we just get to kind of wash our hands of those things. It's kind of like we oversee those processes, which I feel like helps us become better leaders and bosses. Yeah, 100%. Totally.
Okay, well, that's it for Biz Tip.
Biz Tip. Biz Tip.
Okay, so what we're gonna get into today, guys, I mean, it's the first week of the new year. It would only be right to talk about some New Year's resolutions and goal setting, and just kind of
how to start your year off strong.
Yeah, kind of just divulge into what that looks like for us, what we think would be valuable to share with you guys, like in terms of how to set your goals or what type of goals you should be setting. I mean, that's kind of up to your own interpretation, and everyone's on their own path and working on different things, but this is, we felt like we wanted to offer our perspective on things and, take what you need to take from everything we share.
Choose, baby.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you guys know, if you guys have been around for a while, we love talking about goal setting. And setting goals for the new year can be so overwhelming because it's like you have an entire fucking year ahead of you. And I mean, especially considering last year, I feel like a lot of us set goals, many of which were not attained due to outside factors, one of them being called coronavirus.
Out of our control,
And so, like I said, it can be very overwhelming, but hopefully some of these tips will help give you some clarity.
Yeah, and we always like to kind of take into consideration like time to reflect and kind of make it a routine more than anything,
to create space in order to do these things.
Not just a once a year thing, like, oh, once a year I'm gonna sit down, look at my goals. No, this is a continuous practice. Really,
like, I mean, should be daily, weekly, monthly, etc., etc. Yeah. And a lot of our goal setting, we do the majority of it together, you know, for the majority of our lives. You know, we obviously have our own personal development goals and things like that, but, you know, we have to sit down routinely together and say, you know, where are we, reflect where we can improve, and set goals for the future.
Yeah, and it kind of just helps you recognize patterns, both good and bad, in your life, and just makes you like more self-aware in general. Like if you don't carve out that time, how will you know? You know, you'll just still be in this cycle.
How will you know?
How would they know? They're not gonna know. Okay, TikTok reference if you don't know.
So our first overarching tip here is creating the space.
Yeah.
And, you know, it can be, you can start in like smaller increments, but, you know, it definitely does take the time to like, you have to sit down and kind of treat it as like a task. You can't just be like,
it is its own task.
It is its own task. You can't just be like, oh, well, I want to do this year. Like, no, you've got to sit down, write that shit down, and, you know, get specific with it, and, you know, do X, Y, and Z in order to make sure that you're going to get to that goal. So
being intentional about it.
Yeah. So you have to be very intentional about taking that time. So our recommendation would be just to give yourself like at least an hour and like start off there, because it also can be very like draining. So I would start, you know, write out the types of things that you want to improve on, whether it's like, you know, and I've said this before in another episode, but basically what I do is I write out like the different like pillars of my life, which, you know, it could be physical, it could be spiritual, it could be financially. And so I write out all of those things. And then in and under all of those different columns, I write out like more specific things. And even that is going to, you know, be pretty time consuming, and it's going to take a lot of reflection and a lot of putting yourself into the future and seeing what that looks like for you.
I feel like for a lot of people, it's daunting because they're asking themselves too broad and too general of questions.
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to do in 2021? What do I want to accomplish? And that's kind of like heavy and scary.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you like mentally, it would like push that task away. Like, oh, I don't really want to deal with that because that's like kind of looks scary to me.
Yeah.
So I think breaking it down into these like little into these different pillars is super, super helpful.
Yeah. And
instead of just keeping it so general and broad.
Yeah. So like, and even getting more specific with it. So like, let's say that under, you know, personal development, I write that I want to meditate once a week.
Yeah.
You have to get even more specific with it.
What time of day?
What time of day?
For how long?
For how long?
Where?
What space are you creating for yourself?
Yeah, like literally creating the physical space too. Like up to that detail of being specific.
Yeah, you can't be like laying in your bed
meditating.
Yeah.
I mean, you could.
You could. Well, I mean laying in your bed meditating, or laying in your bed to create the space in order to make the tasks. Like, you really got to put yourself in the right headspace. Like,
you're saying to sit down and start writing it out and stuff, everything?
For sure. Like, get yourself a little fucking coffee. You know, get yourself your notebook, set your vibe.
Light a candle. That's always, like, for me, a part of my process is lighting a good candle. Something about, like, the fire energy. I don't know. What?
Just connected to the elements, you know?
Exactly.
Drink some water.
Really
get a fan on your face.
Ground my feet in my backyard on my dirt and just be grounded with the earth, the land.
And then just channel.
Yeah. You know, we're onto something. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times people can be overwhelmed with the big picture of things and they end up ignoring the important like self-work that has to be done because they're not realizing that they have to break it down to like more tangible tasks.
Yeah, and I feel like you also have to know that you can like attain these tasks. Like they have to be, you know, you what am I trying to say here? Like, you have to be a certain person. You have to level up in life and level up to yourself.
And to believe in yourself.
Yeah, because the person that you are currently isn't attaining those goals. You have to become someone whoever you want to be in order to attain these larger goals, if that makes sense. So
yeah, no, it does.
You really have to picture what that person looks like. What are they doing? You know, what is their routine? How are they getting to these goals? And you actually told me something the other day, and it was like, it was about being habit oriented instead of goal oriented. And I think that that's so important, because it's like, you know, you can try to reach a goal, but like what are the habits of the person that reaches that goal?
Right. Yeah, totally. And when the problem with seeing it so big picture and setting these like just general broad things is like you almost just don't know where to start. So by breaking it down, you know, you're seeing just one step ahead, and then you see the next step, and then you see the next step, versus trying to see the 100 miles ahead of you.
Yeah. Or, you know, setting a certain goal, like, you know, let's say that your goal is to buy your first house this year, or, you know, get a new car, or, you know, start a new business. Write out that goal and then work backwards from it. Yeah. And say, okay, what do I need to do in order to get there? So, you know, the first step is like buying the house. Okay, what comes before that? Finding the house. What comes before that? Contacting the realtor. Before that, you know, saving up X amount of money per month. How are you going to do that?
Everything is breakdownable. Like there's this thing that I always remind myself and Tyler is like, everything is figure outable. Like, it may seem so daunting and confusing, and we just went through a fucking hellish situation with our mortgage insurance. Yeah. And it was just a clusterfuck. Like, it was a lot to deal with. I was very confused by the whole situation, considering this is my first home. And, you know, I was just like, that got me through and through consistently. It's just like, everything is figure outable. I will figure this out. Just have to like take it step by step. It's so scary though, dealing with something new and like a big responsibility like that. There's a lot like at stake.
There's a lot of like room for confusion and to mess up. And
yeah, and that's a part of it. Also a big thing we always say is like, do it scared. It's just like, okay, just keep going forward, just keep moving, just, you know, because if not, like, your other option is to just let it consume you and end up getting screwed over.
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, I feel like definitely we want to hone in, like, the more specific, the better. Ask yourself specific questions so that you can get specific answers on what it is that you want, how it is you want to grow, where you want to see yourself a year from now. I know a lot of people set like 10-year, 5-year, and like 1-year goals. For me, it's kind of hard. It's hard for me to see where I might be at in 5 years.
I don't really do that.
I don't know what that's going to look like. It's hard.
Yeah, because
it almost feels like you're trying to like, you know,
plan out your life. And I don't know, I feel like I'm very like up in the air as far as
not plan. I feel like it feels like you're trying to predict the future. It's like, I don't know where I'm gonna
be. Plan your like
5 years.
And I also want to give myself the room and the grace to know that like
things are gonna change.
Shit happens, things are gonna change, because, you know, I could plan my life right now, and, you know, I can include my boyfriend in those plans or whatever it may be, and, you know, God forbid we, you know, end up breaking up or something, like all those plans are shit. So I really try to focus on like the next like year. And even then, I think that, you know, a huge thing is just have grace with yourself, forgive yourself. And like I said, you know, this past year, I even like, you know, I set so many goals for myself that I did not attain. But, you know, I did accomplish a bunch of other things. So, you know, it's kind of like...
that you might have not even predicted that you would have accomplished.
But I'm definitely not going to, like, beat myself up. And no one should be beating themselves up over anything about 2020, because 2020 was a dumpster fire. And, you know, we really have to have grace with ourselves. Like, we all survived a pandemic, and you know, we're still currently in a pandemic.
Enough in of itself. Yes. Like, we all got through that.
Yeah, so just keep those things in mind when you're also definitely setting goals.
And I think within the framework of setting your goals, intentionally leave that space for adapting and for pivoting and for change. And like, you know, like, we set these because that is what we want to work towards, but there's no sense in beating ourselves up when something does, like, that is supposed to happen. That is a part of this entire process. So like, welcome it, embrace it, expect it, those changes and those difficulties and those bumps in the road, like, build that into your plan too. You know, absolutely. That shouldn't be an unexpected thing. Like, that's life.
You gotta expect the unexpected, baby.
Yeah, there's this quote that's like, the only thing in life that's for sure or certain, that nothing is for certain, you know, something along the lines of that. And you can plan your whole life, and, you know, there's no sense in it.
Definitely. And I think that the next kind of, you know, step in this goal setting, goal planning, is setting attainable goals for yourself too. Because, you know, it kind of goes along with, like, you know, maybe not planning out 5 or 10 years in advance, because, you know, you have no idea what that's going to look like. And I think that it's okay to have some framework. You can be like, oh, well, I want to be really successful. Yeah. Like, yeah, for sure. You know, definitely, you know, plan for that. But just set attainable goals. And, you know, you don't want to almost like self-sabotage by like setting a really, really high goal and not attaining it. And I think that there's a difference between, you know, being like, if this happened by the end of the year, I would love that. However, if it doesn't happen,
I'll be just as happy.
Yeah.
And proud of myself.
Mm-hmm. And even like Olivia, like I do plan on buying real estate in the future. And I told, you know, I was talking to Olivia about that because she bought her first house. Was it 2020?
It was November.
Early 2019. 2019. Yeah. And she was like, you know, you should even maybe aim for 2022. And I was like, you know what? Yes, in a way I kind of am. However, I'm going to work my ass off. And if I can make it happen in 2021, I would love that.
Right.
However, I'm not going to beat myself up if, you know, it happens in 2022.
Yeah. And I think really setting attainable, like I can speak to this because I had an experience where I shared this quote on the podcast that was like, don't write your goals as in things that, what can I make happen with what I have now? Write your goals as in, what can I make happen? And then get those things to make it happen. Does that make sense? Do you remember that quote?
Yeah, I remember.
So I literally was like, okay, cool. So I tried building out a goal list with that framework, and it was so hard for me because I knew in my mind, like, I don't know, it's a good concept, and I think obviously different things work for different people, can you say like an example? It was kind of like the intention was write down your goals as if anything is possible. And I was like, okay, I want to be a millionaire by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then it's like, okay, now break down what needs to happen for you to make that happen. And I start writing it down and I'm like, all right, that means 20 grand a month starting next month. And I'm like, this is just not fucking attainable for me. Like, it's not going to happen at this point in my life. So I think, you know, being realistic, you're really giving yourself kind of, you're getting yourself a better chance at succeeding in these goals when you are setting, like, definitely like maybe push yourself a little further than you think you can, but make it attainable because you want to build that confidence. Every little thing you accomplish, it adds to your confidence, and you feel like you can accomplish it and do the next thing and do the next thing.
And you need to instill, like, you need to know that you can do it. And if you set yourself up for like a goal that you low-key know in your mind that you cannot reach, then you are literally self-sabotaging.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, because you'll never get there. And setting yourself up with like a good foundation of goals that you can actually reach, like, you have that confidence within yourself, and you know, you have a strong foundation to start off of.
And I think it's a great goal to be like, I want to be a millionaire. For example, I want to be a millionaire by 30, right?
Yeah.
So that gives me 4 years. Great. That's a good goal to have.
Oh my God, I can't believe we're 26. I'm like, no, I'm like, we have 5 years. Wait. Oh my God, wait, are we 20?
No, we're 25. That was my bad.
Holy
shit.
That was my bad. We are
holy shit. I can't believe we're 26.
I wholeheartedly believed that we were 26 just now.
We're 25. I'm so sorry for doing that to you.
Ooh, I'm sweating. I was like, wait, we have 4 years.
So sorry for doing that to you. I can't do simple math. I apologize.
I'm hot right now. I just gave myself an existential crisis.
I'm dying.
Oof.
Okay, we have 5 years to make that happen, but my point being is that's a great goal to have, but break it down into bite-sized pieces that you can actually digest and accomplish.
Yeah, and I also, you know what, something that's really like helped me is that I kind of realized, so, you know, I took a look at my life as an influencer, which is really my bread and butter, right? And I was like, okay, I want to be a millionaire by 30, let's say. How the fuck do I do that while being an influencer?
Right.
And then I was like,
it's not gonna happen.
Not super realistic.
Right.
You know, of course, if I gained 1 million followers
and could charge 10 grand per post,
for sure. But
we're not there right now.
We're not there. And you know, I don't think I really want to, you know, I don't think I want to do that.
Right.
I don't want to be an influencer to be like my end all be all.
Right.
And so I realized that I needed to have multiple streams of income. So it's like, you know, we started the podcast. I started the Casa experience. So like I started like looking at who that person is. Who is the millionaire at 30 in the form of Jessica Martin? She has multiple streams of income.
Right.
Her businesses are making, you know, you're not going to really realistically be a millionaire from one business, you know. It's going to be either, you know, multiple businesses, multiple streams of income. So I kind of worked backwards in that way too.
Nice. I like that. Yeah. And I think that goes for a lot of people. I mean, unless you have, you know, a fucking hit business and it takes off, which sometimes it does for a lot of people. But I think multiple streams of income, especially in this day and age, is just how it works, and like how you're gonna reach those type of goals
for sure. And it also, like, not to mention having multiple streams of income, not that this is part of like the goal planning, but it also like gives you cushion, if that makes sense. Totally. So like, you know, if one doesn't necessarily take off, you know, you can put more energy into the other, or if, you know, one takes a hit, you have a little bit of flexibility and wiggle room there.
You're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if Instagram were to fucking
die tomorrow,
I still wouldn't be okay. But the idea is to not be fucked.
I mean, you would still have seeds planted. Yeah. You'd have other plants growing.
100%.
That you could eat from.
That could nourish me.
Food on the table for your family. I think it's really important to dream big. We're not saying not to, you know, definitely.
Of course.
You can do whatever you set your mind to. And of course, taking privilege into consideration here, because that does play a huge part in all of our lives. The opportunities we get, you know, the types of networking we do, whatever it is,
the resources that you're exposed to,
the resources we have. So definitely want to acknowledge that. But something that I'm so thankful is like my mom always just instilling that confidence in me that you can do whatever you set your mind to. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be fucking messy, but like there's literally nothing stopping you. There's nothing in between you and the dream life that you want to have. Yeah.
And this brings up a point that I did want to mention, which was a few months ago, you looked at a building outside.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Well, that's weird. Why would you know that?
I don't know. I just knew.
I've literally never brought this up ever.
I don't know. I just knew.
That's weird.
Because I read minds.
Yeah, low-key.
I have a superpower.
I wouldn't say minds. I would say mind and my mind. But
I read Jessica's mind. That's my superpower.
Pretty much. But regardless, so what we're talking about here is that like a few months ago, we were having this inspirational conversation.
It was on the podcast.
Was it on the podcast?
I'm almost positive.
I don't feel like it was. Maybe it was.
I think it was.
But I feel like we had talked about it before.
Yeah, probably.
But basically, and you guys might remember this, I don't. But she was like, oh, I've looked at, you know, she's like, I look at a building outside and she's like, I'm going to own one of those one day, you know, like a fucking skyscraper. And I was like, oh shit. Like,
oh shit, bitch. Okay. That's what we're doing.
I was like, okay, this is what we're doing now. And I was like, oh, and I don't know why. It was just like a wake up call for me to be like, oh yeah, we can do that.
There's nothing holding us back. There's no glass ceiling here. You know, there's no limits. And I think something that helped me a lot in that is listening to these real estate, podcasts. 100%. And listening to all these people who are there above what I would love to have and like, you know, hitting all these crazy goals. And they're telling me like, dude, if I can do it, you can do it. And that instilled the confidence in me, which in turn, we are instilling the confidence in y'all, the brothers. Nothing is out of your reach, you know, and like before
it's only your self-limiting beliefs. Yeah. And that's what I realized when Olivia brought that up, was like, I don't know why I had never like considered that for myself. And it was kind of just like, it was like a mental glass ceiling of like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to be comfortable without, but I'm like, no, fuck that. I can literally do that and so much more. So why wouldn't I?
Because we think that is reserved for certain type of people. Yes. We think that's reserved for a rich white man who, you know, grew up in business and studied business and whatever. We have these ideas in our head, but realistically, like, you get out there, you network, you learn your shit, and you can do that too. And also a great example is like I used to go to these real estate meetups, and it was all women. Like, it was a women real estate meetup. And there were these older ladies, these young girls my age, and they're like, I just bought my 10-unit apartment complex. I'm like, oh my God, dude, that's crazy. Like, if you can do it, I can do it, literally. And they're 100%. They're sitting there telling me that. So I'm like, okay, I believe it. Shit, I can do it too.
No, and I love that.
So nothing's out of reach. Everything is at your fingertips. So I think it's really important that we dream big, but without the confidence to like, you know, the confidence of achieving the little things first. If you don't have the confidence, you won't achieve them. So you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah. And I also think that reflecting is really huge on that, because, you know, sometimes, you know, we get in these like mindsets where we're just like working, and you kind of feel like you're stagnant. But like, you know, if we took a look back at, you know, what we've accomplished in the last year, 2 years, 5 years, like, I don't think I ever thought like that I was going to be here. And, you know, you kind of have to take that, you know, into consideration. Like,
be proud.
Yeah, you have to be proud, because it also, like, reflecting and realizing how far you've come will instill that confidence in you to keep going.
Yeah, and I think I have mentioned this before, but I'll say it again because it was really like, you know, big for me and my confidence and being able to accomplish things in general is like, you know, for example, I've told you this, with each job I've had in the beginning, it's so scary. And you're like, how am I going to learn all this? Like during training, it's so overwhelming. You're like, there's no way I can sit down and interview a 50-year-old man and be able to decide if he can be a mortgage banker or not. And then, you know, fast forward to 3 months and there I am sitting in office.
And the first time they walk in, you're like, yep, nope, nope.
Exactly. Like, you know, so it's like those types of situations that you feel like, I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to do this. And then you are able to do it
seamlessly and, you know, with ease.
Those things really give you confidence. So now the next time I have a challenge ahead of me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so big and scary. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I have that little person in my head saying, girl, you got through it before, you'll get through it again.
Dude, I think that
I feel like I have a country accent right now and I don't know why. Have you noticed that?
No.
Okay, good.
That is in your head. Like a little bit in the last sentence.
That little person is in my head too. Who's like,
just their country. Just straight up country in
I'm
there.
hanging out with Tyler's family way too much.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, but I love that you said that, because even like with the podcast, like I never thought I'd be able to set up this.
Are you kidding me?
This whole fucking thing by myself. Like, and it's not even hard. It's literally not hard.
I mean, it's
if you didn't know what you were looking at, yeah, it would be hard. But it's
give
just
yourself some credit. It's a little hard.
But like, it's just so funny because now it's like literally just second nature.
Clockwork.
And just even little things like that. And I love that you said, like, you know, I think that reflecting on even your past jobs and like not letting that imposter syndrome of I can't accomplish this, you know, get to you is huge. I even have this reminder on my phone every single day. And by the way, that's a little pro tip. I set like reminders on my phone, so it's kind of like on my lock screen always.
Nice.
And it says my attitudes are more important than my intelligence, because for the longest time I kind of like grew up thinking that I wasn't smart.
Right.
Like just like school smart. I've always been street smart. But like, you know, like
can't play a player.
But I would like get my report cards. Like I've never been a super school person. If I really apply myself, sure, but you know, that doesn't really happen.
I mean, I just thought 25 plus 4 is 30, so
love that for you.
There's a reason we're friends.
Yeah.
Continue.
So I wrote that note because I was like, you know what, my attitude towards learning and towards becoming a better person is more important than any sort of like level of intelligence that I've given myself.
Not to mention, that is especially relevant in this generation and this day and age. We have so much at our fingertips, so many resources, so much free knowledge out there. Like, really, your success in academics does not determine your success in life and in business at all.
Oh, I mean, if you guys haven't already, you know, gotten that from this podcast, I mean, it is like the one thing that, you know, I would try to instill in, you know, someone who isn't doing well academically. Like,
because that can really tear down a kid's confidence.
I was never like, and the thing is, it was always mental looking back at it. And, you know, hindsight's 20/20. But like, I remember I failed math in the 7th grade.
And you were like, I'm done.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and you know, people.
I'm going to be a plumber. That's it for me.
Plumbers are smart people.
Yeah, and they make great fucking money.
By the way. But yeah, I definitely thought that I just wasn't going to be successful because I didn't know the Pythagorean theorem. And like, what the fuck? Like, that's not okay.
When did we ever use that?
I don't. That's a whole
other episode.
But yeah, I've had to adult myself and parent myself and rewire my brain into teaching myself that I am intelligent, and maybe not in the Pythagorean theorem way, but I'm very intelligent socially and emotionally, and
which honestly is like, I don't know. It depends also what you're doing. If you're a doctor, if you're a heart surgeon, like those things matter. But like those things really, really, really determine your success. Yeah. Especially in like the fields that we're in.
And even if you are going into like the medical field or the law field or whatever it may be, like
those things are important.
Of course, no, of course, super important. But I'm saying that your attitude is still. The attitude and your mindset. Discipline and your mindset trumps your intelligence every day, because you can be an average student, an average person of average intelligence. You don't need to be Albert fucking Einstein. But if you have the mindset and you have the attitude and you have the discipline, you can outshine anyone else that's in your field simply because they're intelligent. And I feel like my boyfriend Juan is like a huge proponent of that. The guy's not smart. No, I'm kidding.
That guy's a fucking idiot, honestly.
No, but his work ethic and his discipline, like, even if he wasn't intelligent, which he is very, very intelligent, he would be outshining everyone in his class because he is just so disciplined and he wants it. You know what I mean?
Those skills really hold such a heavy weight in someone's success.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, moving on. We want to talk a little bit about like the time frame that we give our goals. So as of late, like for you guys, if you've been following for a while, we set kind of our goals based on our birthdays because we feel like that's our more appropriate New Year. But then also we also like to do New Year too.
Well, it's kind of like it's like a pre.
Yeah, it's a pre. Yeah,
and then we kind of like go back
because we see that as our personal New Year's because it's like it's our New Year.
Yeah.
Anyway. I digress.
Time is a social construct.
Exactly. So as of late, like for my last birthday, I set daily, weekly, and monthly goals. And for me, it's really good to see that visual, and like it makes it easier to kind of conceptualize in my brain, like, okay, daily, every day, I know this is what I'm working on. Every week, this is what I want to try to accomplish or keep in mind throughout my week. And then monthly is a great time frame because obviously there's a new month, and I look forward to the new months because I see it as a fresh start. So I think that is really helpful, especially when you want to break down those bigger goals. You can set it to even quarterly. As of like last year, was our first time we set quarterly goals, and none of them got. It was so sad. We like set like team
goals.
Bonding for like our podcast crew with our editor and our producer. We didn't get to do any of it. Anyways. All right. But yeah, even quarterly. I think quarterly is a great way to plan out the year, and expect those to change, expect bumps in the road, expect to adapt again.
And it sounds really good when you tell someone, we'll touch base in quarter two.
Literally, it does. Because that is how, guys,
that's how major corporations
That's how corporations do their shit. So why would we not take on some of those principles into our own little small businesses? Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. What do we want to make each quarter?
What's happening in that quarter, like seasonally, like it also works, it tends to work out with the seasons as well. So that's super helpful.
What types of products or services do we want to launch? So that's easy. It makes it easier for us to kind of wrap our head around our yearly goals.
And I would say that for daily goals, it definitely, we do our daily goals weekly. So that's, you're not fucking looking 365 days in advance and being like, oh, I'm doing this on this day. Like you're going to set it the week before, like, Sunday, you'll do it for the week of. And I would say that this helps me so much because if I could have a million things to do, but if I do not set my daily tasks, none of them will get done because I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
What do I have to do?
Well, there's also, you bring up a great point. There's a difference between a to-do list and a goal list. So like for me, when I was setting my birthday goals, like an example of something I have as a daily goal is be more active on Instagram stories. And that's something I want to apply. That is something I want to think about, like intentionally think about every day is like, oh yeah, get on my stories, show my face, and that's something I know for the year I want to show up and do more of. So that's like, for example, that's something that would be a daily goal of mine.
A daily goal. But then when you do your like, weekly plan, task delegation, whatever it may be, you can also keep those things in mind. Like you can cross-reference. You can cross-reference your goal list with your task list and make sure that things are aligning. Like, I think that, and this kind of just brings me to a different point, but like,
she gone.
What's the point?
She gone.
You shouldn't be doing things that aren't aligning with your goals. Like, because sometimes you might realize that, you know, you're spending a lot of time doing XYZ, and XYZ is not on your goal list. Right. And so either you can start, you know, rearranging your time and your priorities, and either, you know, outsource that to someone like an assistant or, you know, whoever it may be. But you can also just keep yourself in line by cross-referencing these things. Yeah, and I think different tasks or different goals have different types of time frames. They have different level of capacity. Like, you know, something like, I'm trying to think what's on mine. For my weekly, I have, like, you know, meditate, journal, and stretch at least once a week. Yeah. And that's something for me I had to figure out through trial and error, that it's not best for me right now to try to do that every single day. Yeah. You know, because I tried. You're setting yourself up for failure. I tried and it didn't happen. So I'm like, okay, that's obviously not attainable for me right now. Let's try weekly. And that's something that I can wrap my head around, that I feel like I can, you know, accomplish and give myself kudos for. Yeah. So things like that. And then you can, like, you know, live the rest of your week not, like, worrying about getting something done. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Like, make it hard, but also make it easy. Yeah. Make it easy. It hard and make it easy to make your habits easy. You know what I mean? Like, make those good habits. Did you bring me that book? No, I didn't, but I will tomorrow. She's going to bring me that book. What is it called? It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. One of my favorite books ever. I would read it again. I was planning on reading it again. Also, low key, if you guys want a book club, we're seriously considering it, but we want to gauge your interest first. So we'll leave a question up in our stories on Instagram. If you're not already following us on Instagram, go follow us, Whiskey and Water Podcast. Yes, but moving on. I digress. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things the book notes is, you know, making those good habits easy. Like, easy, literally seeing something or putting something in a better place for you to reach for it. Like, easy as in that way, like literally easy. And then making those bad habits really hard, putting them out of reach, locking the cigarette box in a fucking lock, or, you know, like, whatever. Yeah, those are just examples. I need to read that. Really great book. I can definitely have better habits. Oh my God, you would absolutely love it. It's so, like, practical, but also just, it makes sense, because it makes I love things that are practical but also give you the tools, like the mindset tools in order to get there. It's a good balance of both, because it changes your perspective. It makes you see things in a whole different light, which I love. Yeah. Which brings us to the next thing we want to kind of go over, is shifting your mindset from being goal-oriented to habit-oriented. And although I think goals are good and having things that you want to hit are great, like, changing your habits is so powerful. And I think that's something we can both definitely work on. And we're actively trying to, you know, get better habits and break bad ones. But it's hard because habits are really instilled in us from a young age. For sure. And I even, like, I realized the other day, like, I was just sitting on my couch and my place is like it was a mess. And I'm like, why am I just sitting here? Like, not cleaning, right? Also, the things that we waste the most time on are made to suck us in. So just keep that in mind. Are you talking about, like, social media the apps and stuff? Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm just a victim here. I am a victim to Mark Zuckerberg. It is not my fault. No, but I just meant, like, I was like, why aren't I just doing these things? And I was like, it's because it's not a habit for me. It's not, like, it's not second nature for me to walk up and do the fucking dishes. It's just, like, not. I have no desire to do that. And it's not about the desire. It's about the discipline, and it's having it be a habit. And but sometimes, and I think the book states this too, it's a concept that willpower isn't enough sometimes. Oh yeah, no, it's about discipline, and it's about discipline with working out and doing a bunch of things. And I feel like I'm pretty good with the working out stuff. Like, I'm good at making that a sort of habit, as long as I time block it, like, out in my week. Yeah. Because then if I don't, I won't do it. But just even little things, like making, instead of, like, waiting till my dials pishes up, my my dishes pile up, like, doing them right after, or, you know, making that a habit. Or like, you know, if I wear something, don't throw it on my goddamn bed. Put, you know, hang it up immediately, or, you know, just things like that. You're gonna
love this book. I'm so excited. Are you gonna read it as soon as I give it to you, or are you finishing something else?
I'm finishing The Power of Now, but I'm also gonna probably read them.
Start going at the same time. Yeah. It's so good. You're really gonna love it. I took notes on a lot of it, and I had wanted to go back and take notes on the last few chapters and then read it again. Like I want it to be a Bible to me. But yeah, I just feel like that's really important, and focusing more on the habits than the actual goals themselves can help you kind of hone in on the how you're gonna get there versus like the what you want to accomplish or the things that you want to have in your life. I think it's a good balance of both are important.
Yeah, and I think that it kind of just brings it back to like alignment. You know, like you need to have your to-do list aligning with your goal list, and you need to have your to-do list aligning with your habits, you know?
Yeah, and I think habits are also just in general, you know, going towards you being a better version of yourself. And it might not even have to be in business. It can be personally, like more self-care can be a habit. Better self-care can be a habit. So yeah, everyone read that book, and maybe we'll put it in the book club. Maybe. And just a few like little tips before we get into our takeaways for the episode. I feel like keeping in mind that like change is a process, especially when it comes to habits, but all your goals in general, like becoming a better person of yourself is a process. It's not just going to happen overnight. Like we said earlier, have grace with yourself.
I mean, it's essentially, it's trial and error, you know, like it's really easy for us to come on this podcast and be like, yeah, we're being better people. But like what you don't see is like the everyday of like, us, you know, failing, and it's all, you know, it's all about like just you know, like Olivia said, having grace with yourself and being easy on yourself, and you know, but also, you know, holding yourself accountable. You know, like one of my goals for 2020 was like I wanted to be kinder, and like even to this day, like I find myself like, you know, being mean to fucking, you know, in traffic, or you know, where like if people are annoying me, and it's like, but I also have to realize that, you know, little by little by little is when it's gonna happen. You're not just gonna fucking wake up and be Mother Teresa. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a process, it's a practice, and it's a life's work more than anything else. I don't know if one day we're gonna wake up and be like, I am the person I've always wanted to be. I think we're always gonna strive to be better, no matter what, you know, no matter how many previous goals we've already hit, how many bad habits we've already broken, how many good habits we've already instilled in ourselves. I think we're always like, I think that's just human nature. That's evolution, you know, like we always want to just be better and strive for better. And my last big tip, I know it's important for both of us, we've mentioned it before, but make it visual. Make your goals visual. I put my daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, birthday, this little sheet that I was talking about, I put it right next to my desktop. I look at it every morning. I just got an acrylic calendar for Christmas. I'm so excited. But like seeing my month ahead of me, seeing my notes that I want to keep in mind for that month, like having it visual is so important for me.
I can't wait to have an office.
If I don't have those visual reminders, like I pretty much don't have a reminder.
Yeah. I mean, put it on your fucking bathroom mirror, put it on your fridge, put it on your home screen, anywhere that you're gonna see it every day.
Yeah, it's really important. Write it out, make it physical, get it out of your brain onto paper, into the universe. Make a Word doc, print it out, whatever you have to do,
make it aesthetically pleasing.
But you know, like if you know that's how you work best, hone in on that. If you think you are an like auditory learner and like you listen to things and remember it better that way, just self-reflect and see like what works best for you, and then set your goals out and write your goals out in a way that works for you, that you can be reminded every day and you can really drill it into your brain.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And for our takeaways of the episode, because I know we dumped a lot on you guys here.
Yeah, this was a lot, but it was great.
There's some good stuff in here.
I learned something.
I mean, shit, I'm writing notes on our own shit. I'm like, make it aesthetically pleasing.
And I'm excited.
Put it somewhere you can see.
For those of you who have been here a while, I feels really good to be doing an episode like this that's super value packed. I mean, that's what we wanted to in the very beginning, is just offer you guys value.
And just have something that like will in turn make us better people. And
you guys.
And make us better people. Kidding. No, but something that's gonna, you know, inspire us to inspire others. But our takeaways for this episode is, the first one is clarity. Your goals should be clear and well defined. That is the the first step in this goal planning.
And the second should be challenge. Your goals should be achievable, but also challenging to you.
And that is
very important.
Up for discretion. Set things, see how you feel about it, move it around, do what needs to be done.
And don't compare yourself too for that one. Like her goals are going to look different than my goals and vice versa. It's about self-reflecting and what works for you and feeling what you really want to work on.
Yeah. And yeah, I feel like
don't compare yourself.
Yeah. Our next one is feedback. You should regularly evaluate and reflect on your goals to stay on track. I feel like we hammered that home.
Yes. And commitment. You should fully commit to your goals to achieve them. Don't write it down if you're kind of half-assed about it. I feel like Tyler does this a lot, and I'm like, don't even say it if you're not going to fully commit. I'm like, he's like, I want to read more this year. I'm like, do you really though? Do you really? Or
are you ready to become the person?
Or is that just a nice idea in your head? Yeah. There's a difference.
For sure.
Don't make it a goal if you don't fully plan on committing yourself to that goal.
That's like me with being like, I want to be more flexible.
I want to do a split, she said.
It wasn't realistic for me.
It happens.
Okay, and last but not least, task complexity. You should give yourself time and space to reach these complex goals.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with the daily, weekly, monthly, and just carving out the mental space and physical space for all of this progress and growth to happen. Okay. That is that, but we do have a new segment.
Of course.
New season, new segments. We brought back the pro tip with a little biz twist on it, and now our final segment for each episode is going to be, we're super excited about this, it's going to be a weekly challenge. This is an idea you actually had a while ago, and something that we feel like is such a great kind of tool for you guys and something that we can all do together.
Yeah. And also like hold us accountable, help hold you guys accountable. We can do it together.
So every week we're going to have a new challenge for that week. We'll put it on our Instagram, on our stories, on our feed so you guys can know about it, engage with it. And we want to challenge you guys. We want to really push you and show you that we're pushing ourselves too, and we're all in this kind of growth journey together.
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay, so
this week's challenge has to do with the fact that we are in the first week of January, and we just really want to hammer home these resolutions and make sure that you guys are aspiring to become better versions of yourselves.
We're holding you accountable, brothers.
So we are doing a New Year's journal prompt, which is 3 ways that you want to be better. So the first one we're doing is spirituality, which kind of encompasses personal improvement, personal development, growth. It could be anything like meditating, reading, therapy, journaling, or affirmations. I mean, it's whatever it looks like to you, but write one way under, your spirituality or personal improvement that you want to become better.
1 or 2 or 3, whatever you're feeling, but minimum of 1.
Minimum of 1.
And the next one we have financially, and that can be, save and be specific again with these. I want to save.
And what you are saving for.
Yeah. Good point.
I think helps
That's
too.
a great point. I want to save this amount more. I want to make this much more in my income. I want to gain another income stream. This can look like a lot of things for you guys. I want to set up my retirement account this year if you don't already have one.
Yeah, and I would say that like for 2020, I did do this, and I said that I wanted to gain more income streams. And at the time, I didn't exactly know how, which is fine. You just have to be open to it. And then, we ended up opening 2 more streams of income this year.
Right.
And so it's about, I think, being open to the opportunity, trying not to force anything, but
putting it out
just putting it out into the universe.
And then final one being physically.
We want y'all to be snatched, feeling your best, looking your best.
Fine fit 2021.
So this could be workout X amount of times a week, eat cleaner, eat better, drink more water, drink a gallon a day, gain flexibility, try to do a split like me. But, also we're hammering it home, be specific. So like if you want to be more flexible, you're going to stretch for 10 minutes a day.
10 times a day.
Stretch for 10 minutes a day every day. Things like that, And
drink more water, eat cleaner. And if you want to eat cleaner, be specific. What do you want to eat less of? What do you want to eat more of?
Are you going to be meal planning?
If you want to get more greens in you, make a green juice 5 times a week. Whatever it may be be specific, write it down. We want you guys to use this journal prompt. I know it's hard for people to like make kind of prompt themselves or make something from scratch.
Yeah.
So I feel like this prompt will be really helpful to those of you who feel that way, and we're going to do it too.
Yeah, and we're also going to be creating a little graphic that we're going to post on our stories and or feed, and it'll give you guys a little bit of a better outline so that you can kind of see what our process is, like all of the columns of our different aspects of life that we use and kind of how we break it down from there. And so that if you guys want the full thing, go over to our Instagram at Whiskey and Water Podcast.
Yes, check it out. I just, before we move on, I feel like physically it's important. It can be seen like kind of superficial in a way, like, oh, I want to lose weight or get toned. But physically, like these are our bodies. Like this is
your vessel.
This is what we're living in. Take care of it. You know, I think that is a lot of self-care, is making the time to, like, for me personally, like I want to be working out at least twice a week, at least bare minimum. By the way, the whole trainer thing, if you heard about that before, it didn't work out so well, but showing up for myself in those ways, you know, making sure I'm eating 3 meals a day, making sure I'm staying hydrated, that is self-care, and that is equally, if not more important than all the other goals you're going to set for yourself this year. All right, I think that wraps it up, guys. If you're not following us on Instagram, go follow us at Whiskey and Water Podcast. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
and we have full video versions on YouTube.
Full video version on YouTube if you're a visual person and want to watch us talk for an hour. We love you guys. We are so excited to be here for the new season
and the new year.
Merch coming soon.
Yes, brother.
Actually,
yeah, it should be out, I hope, by this time.
It should be. It should be.
But
we're super excited. We're happy you guys are here, and we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Hell yeah, brother.
Bye, guys.